especially when people get stalled. Now, what happens is, like you said, when people go, first carnivore, or their bodies are still healing, the lymphatic system is not 100%, then you're going to get that. It's very difficult to eat too much protein, for example, but when your body's not used to, because a lot of us, or a lot of people, such as yourself, are also very sedentary. All right. So your body's just not used to using proteins as much. So it's not absorbing as much, and you get that gluconeogenesis sort of stuff happening. But while you are doing this, if you have a store, if you what you can do is change your timing, your meal timing, and add exercise, add activity. As you add activity, your body will start using more protein. Okay. So
Absolutely.
this is something you need to build up to, though. So, at first, like if you go on a high fat diet, this is going to heal your lymphatic system. Okay. So, and even when you do start increasing your proteins, it's good to stay on a high fat. I mean, you just need to eat a lot of food, full stop. When you're on carnivore, you need to eat a lot of fat and a lot of protein. Now, that the protein content will depend on your activity level. So if you heal your work on healing your body first, okay, focus on the fats and slowly increase your protein as you increase your activity, your body will use it much more efficiently as you get more active. So even if you just go for a walk, do something a little bit extra each week or each month, okay, your body will soon start adapting to the protein content of your diet. Okay. And then you get rid of your stall.
I think that might be where my challenge is I'm perfecting. I'm working hard to perfect the art of being sedentary and retired, and not do too much of anything. But I remember when I was going really hard, well, not hard, very dedicated to a carnivore in the summertime. I was in a 24-hour state of cramp and dizziness, right? And I was pumping down the electrolytes. I was doing everything. And
I don't think that's an electrolyte problem. I think that's an under-eating problem.
Well, I don't have a problem putting away the groceries. I was doing pretty good on the calories. My challenge is, I suspect, is I'm 6'5", and I normally carry about 200 pounds of lean mass. I weigh about 310. So I'm not like super out of the spectrum, so to speak, but I am super out of the spectrum condition wise. So when I eat, and if I eat the requisite 200 plus grams of protein today, I'm just miserably bloated. So I think perhaps I have like everybody, we have a lot of different things going on. And one of the things that has to heal for me perhaps is gastric acid strengths, my gut in general, and I know I need to add the exercise, but I'm going to tell you, I have such a serious mental block saying no to exercise.
Yeah, a lot of people do. You convince yourself that you can't do these things and that you don't want to. Self-talk is really important. Like when people, for example, when people are in the gym and they say, okay, I want to do 10 reps, for example, this is just an example. I want to do 10 reps of a certain exercise. When they get to 8 or 9, they start to feel, oh, this is getting difficult. It's getting difficult. And they stop at 10 because they told themselves that.
Right.
If you said like the same way, if you say, okay, I want 20 reps, even if you don't get to 20, you might get 15 or 16. Right. So you convince yourself that you can't do this, you can't go that far, or you can't do as much when you really can. So this is one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's one thing about mental blocks will stop you from achieving what you really want to do. But what it sounds to me like, how often were you eating when you were getting those dizzy spells and feeling weak like that?
Uh,
How many meals a day?
at least two good meals a day, and a
Mm,
third smaller meal. Trying to I would try to making sure I add a little bit of time for digestion and things like that in between the meals. And
mm,
I'd start off the day maybe 5, 6 eggs, 4 or 5 pieces of bacon, and whatever other piece of leftover meat I had from the day before, and then go on in the day and then go eat a pound of hamburger or a pound of chicken, something like that. I like butter. I have to. I'll be honest here. I am officially a butter abuser. I can easily eat a stick or two a day just off the stick, half a pound a day. Um,
yeah.
but I think there's a lot. Also, this is the other thing I found out the hard way. I was selling my plasma. I don't know if you've ever done that. Go sell
Yeah.
my plasma to make a little extra, spending cash. And they always tested my iron. I was always good. I went to my doctor, and my iron, my ferritin, and everything was through the floor. It was horrifically
Yeah.
low. And
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm going to stop. Because when you do the plasma thing, they take your blood to give it back, but a little bit of it always stays in the bag and in the system. And so
Mhm.
I think maybe that was also something impacting me, having a really, almost dangerously low iron levels. And so that might have had something to do with it also.
So,
How much are
but it's
you
one
drinking?
one pound, 1 pound of meat though. Is that one meal or is that total for the day?
One meal.
One meal. So
I
total
probably
for the
get,
day.
I probably get about a pound and a half of meat a day.
Okay, see, you're 6'5", and how many pounds? 200 and
About 300.
about 300 pounds. Okay, you're eating about the same as me. I'm 200 pounds at 5'6". Okay, you're under eating.
The problem is I'm having a hard time. So I ran into this and I thought the very same thing, right? So
Mm,
I found a way to eat 2 pounds of chicken really quick. Yeah, I cook it
yeah,
up, I bake it, I put it in a blender with the juice, I blend it all up with some water, and I can drink 2 pounds of blended chicken in about 5 minutes, right?
What kind of chicken is it? I mean, is it breasts and wings, or is it?
But no bones, just like breasts and thighs. Just take the whole thing, throw it in the blender.
Yeah, you're wasting your money on chicken breasts. It's just not
yeah.
fatty enough. You need
Well,
thought. You know,
I
thought
did add half a stick of butter into it. You know what I mean?
but even still, honestly, I mean, just one.
You're
without
right.
Problem, yeah.
um,
Problem is that butter doesn't have the nutrients that beef fat has.
That's right. Any ruminant animal fat, beef, lamb, I don't care what it is.
Yeah,
Chicken is for if you like it, fine. But I would say dark meat only. Sure, adding the butter is good, but it really bang for the buck. You're better off with ground beef, or something else that way. And then the other thing I learned myself the hard way, that dehydration can also cause
Oh, yeah.
glucogenesis if you're not drinking enough. And because when you cannot be in ketosis if you're even mildly dehydrated, because when the liver senses dehydration, ketogenic diets cause you to lose fluids, and the liver will make more glucose and raise your blood levels to keep you from losing more fluid if it senses you're already dehydrated. And I learned
yeah,
that, and I'll tell you, I wasn't thirsty. People say, "Oh, drink when you're thirsty," this, that, and the other. And I wasn't walking around thirsty, but I was not drinking enough. I upped my fluid intake, and I felt a ton better and got into ketosis much more easy. So
yeah.
everybody's different.
You have to
Um,
get a balance though too. If you drink too much water, for example, you're flushing out your
sure,
electrolytes that you get from your food. So
sure,
there's another
yeah,
thing.
you can drink too little. You can also drink too much. Dr. Chafee told me to drink a gallon a day, and I was like, that, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. But I was drinking like around 40 ounces a day,
Yeah,
or
that's
less. And so I upped it to about 64 minimum ounces a day. And I found out through my blood work. That I was dehydrated. So I'm anywhere between 64 and maybe 90 ounces a day of fluid. I make sure, and that works great for me. Sometimes I have to force a little bit of it down, but it definitely helped me. So
We got a question for the group here about hamburger. My problem with hamburger, it is high in fat, but when you cook it, the fat renders down, and I don't do good with rendered fat. So I actually like to replace it with tallow because it's cold. Because it goes right out the back door for me. But it is high in fat. How about you guys?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, rendered fat, your body feels like it doesn't need to break it down, so it just goes straight through your digestive tract. So yeah, it depends on where you're at, but if you let it settle and eat it cold, then let the fat settle. That's all good. Or just add
it out of the pan and spread it on the cold burger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what. I mean, yes. The short answer to your question is yes. I do it a little bit differently, and I've made a couple videos, cooking videos about it. I make my ground beef in a pot. Usually 85-15 is what I usually do. I make it in a pot. I don't fry it in a skillet. I fry it in the pot, and then I put in actually some salsa in with it. Maybe about like a half a jar of salsa, nothing crazy. A low carb salsa is about 70 carbs in the whole jar that I do. I use usually half a jar with about 3 or 4 pounds, so it's about 35 carbs, and it's 3 to 4 servings for me. So it fits in well with my staying under 10, 12 carbs a day. And it makes a very nice kind of broth, I guess, like a chili stock to me that I enjoy, and I eat it right up. Sometimes I'll throw a little cheese on there, some sour cream, some different things like that. But I'm kind of a dirty carnivore.
The thing you can do is if you make a burger, like I did a video the other day. It's just like one ingredient man burger. I just put like a kilo of ground beef in the fry pan, just squashed it down and cooked it. So like it was about 3 inches thick. So you just cook the outside and make sure it's cooked through. But because it's so thick, most of the fat is actually not going to be rendered. It's going to still stay in the burger itself and eat it that way.
That's a good idea.
It also matters on which fat content burger you buy. I mean, if you buy that 92 lean stuff, you're already problematic, right? Or you get the 80-20, like, or 85-20, 85-15. But I went to Walmart last week and they had 73-27, and they had 4.5 pound block of it, and it was on sale. So I bought it. It rendered out a lot of fat when I cooked it, right? But what I did is I just poured that fat off to use later to slather on or to, on other things. And like the other day, the wife made chicken nuggets, and she makes her own chicken nuggets. She uses a Swanson canned chicken, big can of chicken, 1 egg, and a handful of cheese. She mixes it together and forms it into a nugget and bakes it, right? And I mean, so you got the cheese in there, you got the egg in there, you got the chicken, and then I put a half a tablespoon or full teaspoon plus butter pat on a little slice of Swiss cheese, and I let the chicken nuggets cool down, and so then I got in the butter, the cheese, and the homemade chicken nugget, and so that was quite flavorful. I really liked it.
Nice.
It sounds good. I don't know why, but dairy, cheese, and chicken are both stalling foods for me. I don't do good on either one of those.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I mean, some people just can't tolerate dairy.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people.
And most people that can, it's a condition that people actually build up over a lifetime. We tolerate dairy. And when you think about it, we're the only species in the world once weaned off of milk that continue to eat dairy.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a carnivore treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And let's see, we got another question for for DC.
Yeah, please explain benefits and dangers of overcooking meat for health protection. Yeah, okay. I mean, if you get a lot of people like beef rare or any kind of meat rare, but there are good benefits like glutamine, for example, is really beneficial for the body. And if you overcook the meat, then you're cooking out all the glutamine, for example. Why you might want to do that is if you are going through cancer treatments, for example, myself, you want to suppress glutamine and what's the other one? Sugar. They feed cancer. Okay, they don't cause it, but they do feed it. So you can get the same benefits out of cooking your meat well done as you can out of going fasting. Okay, you get the same result. Your body will react the same way. So you suppress the glutamine, and you get the same results as fasting if you cook your meat well done. But as I said, if you're not doing any sort of cancer treatment or anything like that, eat it as rare as you want. And glutamine is actually really good for you for many reasons. There are a lot of other benefits too, like electrolytes. You get a lot of electrolytes from the rarer it is, the more electrolytes you get. And obviously, the more you cook it, the less electrolytes you get out of your food as well. But there are other methods of getting it as well. So, like salt is a great electrolyte, and calcium and potassium and things like that. So that's another thing is the more you cook it, the less of those electrolytes, including calcium and some of your water-soluble vitamins, like vitamin C, for example. You'll also get less of them as well. Okay, so it depends on what your goal is and what your preference is. Okay, if you want to supplement or not. I don't supplement, and I don't always cook my meat well done, but more often than not because it suppresses glutamine. So it's up to you, really.
Congratulations, BK. That's a huge accomplishment, man.
Well, I can speak for, I think, the dangers of undercooking meat are E. coli, salmonella, gastrointestinal disorder, and death. Thank you and good night.
And it depends on the meat too and how fresh it is. But yeah, never ever. I mean, I just avoid chicken
Don't eat
myself.
roadkill.
Yeah, don't eat roadkill.
Yeah,
I avoid chicken at all costs at the moment because you can't get clean chicken anyway. But fish, I love, and I don't get to eat a lot of fish here. But like in Japan, we ate a lot of fish raw, and you get a lot of benefits from the raw fish, a lot of omega-3s and so on.
I like
and that's another, and that's another thing is when you do overcook the meat, even your fat soluble vitamins you do get less of. So it's up to you really what you want to do.
Hey, we call raw fish bait where I'm from.
Sandra says I drink too much water. It's an old habit. I'm struggling to cut it back or take electrolytes. Sandra, I got to tell you that I was drinking 2.5 gallons of water a day, and I knew it was too much, but I was doing that too. And since I've been eating 2 grams of fat to 1 gram of protein ratio, for whatever reason that shut down on me. I have not, I'm drinking I don't know, maybe less than 0.5 gallon of water a day now. It's really weird.
Well, you're like a camel.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how, when I was young and athletic and playing sports and stuff, the coaches used to always tell you, if you wait till you're thirsty, it's too late. Don't drink when you're thirsty, And thinking about it, when I was playing this, I did have, issues like I would cramp up and stuff like that, late in games and things like that. And I always had a problem hydrating. I just, I wasn't thirsty or whatever. And the coaches or the trainers were like, drink, drink, drink. If you're thirsty and you get thirsty, it's going to be a problem. And so I had to kind of learn that but just all through my life, it's been a thing. I'm just not, I guess, a naturally thirsty person, and I do kind of have to force myself to drink.
I know this guy. Scott wants to know what are your thoughts on raw egg yolks?
Yes. C, salmonella, E. coli, and death. Thank you and good night.
But
So-
if you're eating pasteurized eggs,
Yeah.
it's like 1 in 100,000 chance for any of that to happen. So, if you're getting your eggs from a good source, but I know that Lindy and Todd, you did steak and butter gang priming and did lots of cooked eggs. And, the other day I like raw eggs. I mean, I like, if I could get my egg cooked and I can keep the egg yolk runny, right? I don't want the raw white. I don't no raw white going in my world anymore. I used to drink them, but I'm not anymore. But the Avidin and all that stuff, wasn't working well. But there's just so much nutrition in an egg yolk, And sometimes I just like to crack 4 eggs and take the yolks, and I'll mix a little either salt or something in it and shake it up and drink it down. I'm thinking I'm getting all the essential amino acids I absolutely need and my essential fatty acids pretty much from that.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's a
do
great
raw
thought.
egg yolks. Yeah, I do raw egg yolks too. I have for the last 2 years, and I'm still here. I love them. 2 raw eggs with my steak. I just salt it, and it literally turns into like a mayonnaise. And I just dip my steak bits in, and beautiful. So I'm with you there. And I was at my daughter's the other day. Oh, sorry. And she actually gave the egg whites to the dog, mixed it up in her dog food.
Oh, wow.
And she chowed down. She loved it.
That's awesome.
So doesn't do it every day, but every now and then she'll give her the egg whites, and she loves it. So
I think it's important to make sure the eggs are fresh.
I
but
get
get the egg yolks are fantastic, like dipping sauce for your steak.
Yeah.
I had 3,600 raw eggs in 90 days at the end of last year doing a testosterone boost challenge, and I'm still here. I didn't get salmonella, and I ate 3,600 of them, and that's no joke. I did. I was averaging about 40 yolks a day because I was trying to keep 36 eggs down a day, but it was not happening. So I started doing 45 egg yolks a day instead, instead of 36 full eggs, just doing 45 yolks. And that was in 3 meals. I was doing 12 eggs per meal, but then I started doing 15 yolks. And I did that for 90 days, and it was roughly 3,600 egg yolks, and I didn't get salmonella.
But how is that for priming? Because I understand y'all did that to not only just do the testosterone thing, but to get the body somehow or another excited about this excess amount of highly required fatty acids.
It was, and it worked fantastic for me because I went to barely being able to eat like 1.5 pounds of beef a day to being able to eat 7 pounds of beef a day. I went from, no joke, I ate 37 pounds of beef in 4 days one time when I was doing this. It was my body wanted it, and I went from taking 7 to 9 hours to process like 1 pound of meat, and I could process 3 pounds of meat in 3 hours after that. It would be completely out of my stomach, like empty. And when I started doing that, I went down 2 shirt sizes. I went up 21 pounds in that 90 days, but I went down 2 shirt sizes, and I built a ton of muscle, and all of a sudden my back didn't hurt. I could stand much longer, like I could walk and stand and run and do things where I had a limit on that before. So I built up a ton of muscle. So it was super healing. And I started growing freaking hair back that I lost when I was 18 years old. No joke.
And he earned the title of King Kong Carnivore. Yeah, show him the belt, brother. Show him the belt.
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you a picture of my last ribeye haul that was a normal occurrence. Let's see. Let me put this up here.
Yeah, that's good proof that you just it's nothing to do with calories, and it's all about nutrients.
Right.
Yes, that's what you call lunchtime at the Bachman's house.
Exactly. That's just a normal Tuesday.
Yeah. Hey, I've been thinking. I think I might try that raw egg thing. Here, you stay with me here. I'm gonna get some raw eggs, some heavy cream, some stevia, some rum, and then I'm gonna try that. What do you guys think? Is that
I feel
carnivore?
like
Just don't do the raw egg yolk. Don't do the don't separate your eggs. Just do the yolks.
Just the yolks, just the yolks.
Yeah.
You know, I
and cut
think
out the rum and stevia and the cream, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
well, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing
Yeah, no raw eating, no raw meat there, Crystal. Mm-mm.
No, I don't need it raw. Rare, but not raw.
No.
There's
There's
calcium.
no, I don't find any benefit to eating it raw at all.
No.
There's calcium in meat. And in
Yeah,
eggs.
of course.
Oh yeah.
And also, isn't it something about if you're eating, there's not a ton of calcium, but there is enough calcium, and you're not burning through the calcium in your bones when you're fully, fully.
Well, the thing is too, like your bones are not made up of calcium. Okay, there is a little bit of calcium in it. Your bones are made up of collagen.
Collagen
Okay.
proteins.
Collagen proteins. Okay, to have strong bones, okay, your bones should be flexible. Okay, so that they can withstand like a fall or a jump or anything like that, like a cat's bones. Okay, so collagen is what you should be worried about, not calcium so much. And the little amount that you get of calcium in meat and everything else that you might want to eat is plenty for the body. It really is. Your body also produces calcium every time when you have a muscle contraction, it produces calcium to release that contraction afterwards. So your body actually produces calcium as well. Okay.
Yeah, Crystal. So priming basically is a system. It's good for brand new carnivores that need to get over sugar addiction, carb addiction, any kind of eating disorders. But it's also good for anybody. I didn't know it because I was 700 pounds, and the idea of a 700-pound person being malnourished seemed ridiculous to me, right? You wouldn't think that that's the case. But as a matter of fact, it is the case because I was eating highly processed, super palatable junk sugar and from sodas. And that was just, that was putting on the fat, but it was not the nutrients. So priming is a way of basically fulfilling your body's deficit of nutrition that it needs so that so you can start healing tissue. And so you put aside the weight loss for a minute and you just concentrate on healing so that your body can deal with the weight. And so you heal up your tissue, you heal up your mitochondria, you heal up your hormones, your testosterone, and you just heal the body through eating. And that also in turn ramps up your metabolism so that your metabolism's not tanked, so that when you are doing things like fasting or you start to crank down your your fat and protein intake, then your body starts really reaching out and grabbing from those stored fats once the mitochondria metabolic pathways are kind of reestablished and healed up, and it works very, very well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So people are so obsessed, they're worried about calories and eating too much and all that sort of garbage that they're too scared to eat enough food to heal their bodies. And when you go into carnivore, you've spent a lifetime. The reason why so we all have metabolic problems. Okay, like Todd, his size, and everyone else. Okay, is because the damage that your body is just not working properly. It needs an enormous amount of nutrients to help recover the proper function of your body, of your systems, your lymphatic system, your endocrine system, and everything else that goes into your hormone production and moving, basically just moving your body around. So I think like that we were talking about this last night with Anthony. They when they put someone onto a new diet, they tend to stagger their diet a bit. So they'll, like, 1 week they'll eat as much as they can, and the next week they'll bring it down to their bare limit, and then the next week they'll try and force feed them again, and just you can stagger your weeks just like that, and that will help get your that'll help focus your body's nutrients onto repairing the damage that you've done over the lifetime of eating junk food. Okay, and once it's healed, then your body will go into like overdrive, just because it's working so well, it'll burn fat really quickly.
I agree.
I got a lot to burn.
Yeah.
Well, you got a lot to heal first.
Yeah, that depends on your definition of a lot.
Yeah. But the first thing you should be focusing on is healing the body so that it can move the fat. Okay, so I think too many people go on the carnivore diet, for example, and like the first couple of weeks, I'm not losing fat. What's wrong? I'm not losing weight. The first thing you have to do is focus on healing your body, and then let the body do its job. Okay, because it knows how to do it. It knows what to do. You just have to give it the right nutrients to heal first, and then everything else will follow.
Sure, and that's why the calorie in, calorie out thermodynamic hypothesis is bullshit. Because
it's complete bogus.
Yeah, well, it just makes me mad because that lie, that propaganda has put so many people in a prison. This stupid thing, and it's just built to completely tell them
that has killed billions of people. Okay,
absolutely. And it just makes you so mad because I bought into it to the point that I was suicidal because it wouldn't work.
We all did. Yeah, we all bought into it. I'm a strength coach. Like at university, that's what they taught us. It's all about calories. My lecturers, we would argue about this all the time. Like, the best source of food and all this sort of stuff. And all my lecturers would all be the same. Like it's all about calories. It's all about calories in and out. If that was the case, I could eat ice cream all damn day. There would be no problem. I'd have no health issues. I'd be as healthy and strong as anyone else. But I could eat ice cream all damn day.
I owned an ice cream shop, and bullshit. I can tell you that didn't work.
Yeah, 3,000 calories of Snicker bars is not the same as 3,000 calories of scrambled eggs.
Amen.
Exactly.
And congratulations, Sandra. Definitely lean into that as my advice, because I had to even talk myself into that, even doing carnivore, because when I started craving more meat, because I was getting healthier, my body wanted it, and I was moving more. I didn't do that, and it actually slowed down my metabolism, and I should have.
Yeah.
So definitely lean into
that. When your body is craving meat, you have to listen to it, because what it's actually craving is the nutrients that you get from the meat. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to say it too, because we're so used to craving a taste and a drug fix that we're worried that it's the thing that we want. And when it's meat, I really had to say that too. I was like, why am I holding back from eating meat? It's not like I'm craving soda still. It's not like I'm craving pizza. I want a steak. So give it the steak. It needs something,
Because it's expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
I was just saying that I've been on lion diet, so I've only eaten ribeyes for the last 63 days now. And I was like, I'm really happy that I'm doing this high fat, because it brought I was eating 4 ribeyes a day, and now I'm eating 1. And I was like, I was about to have to mortgage my house to keep buying these stupid ribeyes.
Well, I eat that stuff too. I'm changing up though. I'm gonna eat a lot more ground beef. I'm gonna down my bacon intake and up my ground beef intake, and I really kind of stumbled across it. As far as the steaks, I've done videos on this, and I even sent you a picture, Todd, the other day of my $6.99 beauties. I only buy steaks when they're on sale. I don't ever, but I just kind of stumbled across it. I began eating some ground beef in the mornings instead of scrambled eggs and bacon, which is what I eat most of the time. I had some scrambled eggs, and I only had a little bit of bacon because I pre-make my stuff ahead. And I had some ground beef. And when I ate that, I stayed fuller longer, and I just kind of felt better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man. So then I made some more, and same kind of thing. I just felt better. I stayed fuller longer. And I said, you know what? I'm going to up my ground beef and dial down my bacon. I was eating probably easily 3 to 4 pounds of bacon a week.
But that-
Same thing. I buy it when it's on sale. I try to find the sale when it's on sale, man. I'll buy 10, 20, 30 pounds at a time. They had a sale $4 a pound. I bought like 30 pounds of it, which again is only about a month and a half's worth. But so I'm going to start doing that. For me, it seems to be better, and I can get it at Costco $4 a pound for what I get. Now I know I think in places are a little cheaper, but I do like the 85-15-ish. 73-27 is a little too much for me, but
well, you end up rendering it out. So you have to pick you got to pick on which side of the equation you want to work it. You know what I mean?
But I don't drain it. Like I said, the way I make it, I don't drain off any fat. I throw a little salsa in there, and I, drink it, eat it all up. So, but yeah, I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm just lending my change.
I bought a cow, and I'm looking forward to taking delivery in about 12 months. I bought a calf like 3 months ago, and I got such a great deal. I think I'm going to end up paying $3.24 a pound processed. So that's for a whole cow, So but it's a smaller breed, so it's going to be pretty good. But I got to wait another year, so maybe I'll try to buy one in between, a little older one, and buy one in between. If I'm going to end up eating 5 pounds of meat a day, I'm going to have to buy a cow. I can't afford to otherwise.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm eating more ground beef, and like I said, lamb. I don't know if you have Costco's near you, but Costco makes a great, leg of lamb. That's a boneless leg of lamb. It's only, $4.99 a pound. I eat that. I love that. It's much better than roast to me, and it's the same price. It's actually a little cheaper than a beef roast. So, you got to get in where you fit in, and you got to like what you're eating. If you're torturing yourself every day, you ain't going to stick with it.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's the thing too. Yeah, people can always complain about variety on carnivore. There's plenty of variety though. I mean, like you don't have to just eat beef. You can eat fish, lamb.
Frog legs,
deer, any kind of meat. There's so many different things you can eat. But I think that actually I was talking just. Coming back to yesterday's conversation, another way to do it, I mean, you're going to have to work out what's best for you. Anyway, what works best for you is going to be different for other people. But an easy way to work it out too is if you give yourself, say, 1 gram of protein per centimeter in height, okay, that will, if you work out that'll work out how much protein you need for the day. And then all you have to do is work out how much fat. And for me, I think you should get at least 70% of your dietary needs, your nutrition from fat. So that's easy to work out. You've got your protein set out 1 centimeter per 1 gram per centimeter in height is your protein intake. Then you just need to add a bit more for fat. Okay, so you want at least 70% in, for my mind anyway, in fat. Easy. Okay, very easy to work out.
Say that again. So I heard everything, but I mean the fat to protein ratio. Once you figured that out, how much fat to protein did you say?
I eat 70% of my nutrients come from fat. The other 30% from protein. So if you work out 1 gram per centimeter in height is your protein, and if you take 70% in fat, then you just need to add on top of that.
Right. Okay. So when you say 70%, though, that's by calorie, not by volume, right?
No, it's by grams. Like I don't measure. You can't measure calories. Okay, for one, like calorie is a unit of energy. We don't burn energy. And any kind of cut of meat, like you can have like 2 ribeyes next to each other, and they'll give you a different calorie count. Okay, each one. You cannot measure calories. All right, so measure grams in okay. So you just, I mean, you just work out like.
So you're
say,
basically saying for every gram of protein you're eating at 70% fat, that's about 2.2 grams of fat per gram of protein.
Well, it's going to be less in weight because there's more
Calorie
nutrients.
difference. You can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that.
Yeah,
load.
there's more nutrients in the fat than there is in the meat, like the protein. Okay, so you just can't. There's going to be a little bit less. So even if you halve that, so if you halve that protein amount, that's going to give you more in fat nutrients.
So
Okay,
Todd,
yeah.
I just look. I need 100 for if I did it that way. I need 195 grams of protein a day for my height because I'm 195 and a half centimeters. If 195 grams of protein is 30% of my caloric intake, then we're saying I need to get 70% from fat, right? So basically 200 times 4 is going to be 800 calories. I'll take 800 calories in protein, and then we just do the algebra to realize I need roughly 2,100 grams maybe of fat.
Right, but you're going backwards. That's not what I meant. So this other people that I talked to about fat protein ratios, what they say is figure out how much protein you need.
Mm-hmm.
And then they want to be at like 80% fat, 20% protein, but they do it by calories, right? So they figure out, yeah. And that, so like right now I'm eating, I think this is low, but this is my new baseline because I'm trying something new this month to up my fat. So I'm eating 120 grams of protein a day, which I figure is probably a little low, but I'm starting there and I'm eating 240 grams of fat a day, tallow basically. Well, I'm kind of deducting what I think is in the ribeye, but also after it renders out, I'm eating 240 grams of fat and 120 grams of protein. And that works out to be something like 80% fat if you do the calorie matrix.
Yeah. Yes, that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they told me there'd be no math on this live stream. I can't. can't possibly.
I'm the same. I just eat.
Quiz.
For all of those out there that are D students like me, okay, just eat the meat, move your feet, stay away from keto treats. That's all I can tell you. That's what they said. Let me sum up all of that for you in a little song. You gotta eat that meat, gotta move your feet. You can eat that meat, move your feet, stay away from keto treats. There you go.
Very good.
Michael Jackson for you back in the day.
But like you're saying, they thought like 120 grams of protein, like that's going to be like how much steak are you actually eating? Like
675 grams of ribeye.
So that's going to be a lot of food still.
Oh, it is a bunch. Yeah, it's a bunch. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus,
I invite you to try to eat 200 grams of protein every day. I invite you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Because you can't.
I shivered to tell you what I was eating in protein just about a week ago. I hit 400 grams on some days. I was nailing that stuff. I was going for it.
Yeah.
I've never measured anything other than carbohydrate. I'm not. Listen. I hope to someday get to where you guys are to be advanced like all that and all that stuff. My IQ is way too low for any of that.
Russ, my hair is growing back. My hair's on the line, Russ. I can need a comb again if I do this right. All right. I'm putting in the work, baby. I need some hair.
Isn't it amazing what we value?
Yes. Listen, Tuesday night, you won't see any of this. This is less than a week's growth, man. I could grow a full afro in like 2 weeks. I'm telling you. So I wish
you're lucky, man.
I wish my hair was.
I can't out of my ear or on my back, but that's it.
Yeah, I wish my hair would stop growing.
Again, these are nutrient deficiencies. Like that's why Todd's hair is growing back because these are nutrient deficiencies. Mostly speaking. Yeah, generally speaking.
Oh, shout out to Frankie.
That's a good way to do it. But I like the way you're doing it. So just keep doing that. You feel good, yeah.
I feel
Yes.
fantastic right now. And I don't know that it means anything, but I put up the highest ketone readings I've ever put up on this high fat, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good then. So
That's good.
Yeah, I love that, man. You know how you feel, and you know the changes that are going on in your life and your body and your weight and your other stuff. And again, there's levels to it. Todd's been doing this a lot longer than me. Other people are doing a lot longer. And when you get to a certain point, I do think that your priorities and your concerns and stuff will shift to where you want to dig deeper and drill deeper. Right now, I'm just trying to make it through the day without ending up in somebody's drive-through. Okay, that's pretty much where I'm at today as far as my path. But other people that are further along the path, they can get into all that breaking down food by the molecule and all that stuff, man. Listen, when I'm hungry, I've got a list of things. This is what I eat, and it's what it is. Oh, you gotta go, Scott?
Yeah, I got to roll. Old man, got to get his Geritol in and get going. You know what I
I
mean?
got you, brother.
I appreciate you hanging out with us, and definitely come back anytime.
Thank
care,
you,
Nice
Scott.
talking to you, Scott.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
letting
Scott.
me. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Good to see you again, brother. Good to see you.
You too, Russ.
See you,
Bye
mate.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks.
Yeah, glad
Question:
to see
is
you.
there a difference between pork and cow fat?
Yes, one comes from a pig and one comes from a cow.
Very simply, yeah.
I don't know.
Can't argue with that.
And I'm sure that everybody's different, but I just I like putting pork shoulders and stuff and rendering it down, but the bacon grease, the pig fat, I don't feel near as good as I do on beef fat for some reason.
Yeah, there is power. I listen. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy from Ohio. But there is power in ruminant animals and the nutrition and the meat and the fat that comes from it. It's just not the same. I like bacon. That's really about the only pork that I eat, though, because again, it's not very fatty. Much of it, like the chops and the things like that people, that's not super fatty. It's kind of like chicken, but the bacon and stuff is different. But the problem with that is, as Todd explained to me, is like when you fry up a bunch of bacon, most of the fat is at the bottom. If it drains out and you're left with, I guess, what is mostly protein. So even that, it starts out fatty, but by the time you eat it, it's not so fatty. But I do fry my eggs in it and different things like that. But I'm gonna switch that up. I'm going to, like I said, I'm gonna stop eating so much bacon, eat more ground beef, and fry my eggs more in butter as opposed to the bacon grease.
Well, and it's like what DC said. That's a good idea on the hamburger because that doesn't render. If you make it thick, it doesn't render a lot of it out in the inside. But I like my bacon crispy.
Yeah.
I realized that all
Yeah,
that
me
dang, and I'd pull the grease tray out of my air fryer, and all the bacon fat was in the grease tray.
Yeah.
And that's why I've just really been liking supplementing the tallow with, because that same thing happens with my ribeyes and stuff. I'm sure there's more fat in the ribeyes because they're much thicker, but still, I don't even know how to calculate what is coming off of my steak and when you get a lean steak or not as marbled steak. So this has just been safer for me to do it with the tallow because I can quantify that much easier. And then I don't know, but I take it with Tabasco sauce. I mix it in the tallow because it has the vinegar in it. And every time I mix vinegar and fat together, I feel fantastic. I think it helps it, break it down or something. I don't know why, but that's like a very, very good tool for me. And I quite enjoy it,
Yeah. I think the biggest difference, like the minerals are in a different proportions on a pig to cow to beef. It also depends on what the pig is eating as well. The source, the source of your food is always important, and usually pigs are raised on grain, okay, especially these days. So that would be the biggest difference, I think. So if you stick to beef, I think you're gonna feel better. But that's just me. Yeah.
I
Some
think
people
you're 100% right, and I think the best thing to do, what I would do is I would get a pack of, or we can look it up online. I'm sure 1 pound of ground beef, read the nutritional content, and a pound of pork, ground pork or sausage, read the nutritional content and see what's in it, vitamins
Yeah.
and minerals and all that kind of stuff. And I'd be willing to bet you $1 American. I don't know what that is in Belgium. I don't know what that is if you're Belgian. But I'd be willing to bet you $1 American that the ground beef, has way more nutrition, more nutrient dense than the ground pork.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. I feel even better about my dollar.
It's safe.
Let's see, we
It's
got
pretty safe.
One of the
One more
scientists on our panel co-signed that, then yes, I feel good.
let's see, what kind of vinegar? Apple cider vinegar? Yes, apple cider vinegar is my only one that I use actually, but not Bragg's anymore since Bill Gates ruined it. It's Lighthouse is the one, or what is that called? Hold on, I'll tell you in 1 second.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm a bit of a tangent. I can't wait to see that son of a in a prison somewhere.
Oh, exactly. I was hoping he'd get butt cancer and waste away and go to hell, but that was just my
My,
hope.
I'd rather see it happen slowly,
Wow.
like go to Guantanamo Bay or something.
Oh, I want to see him. I want to see him. His colon end up deteriorating by cancer, and then he puts a cyborg colon in there that's run off of like Windows or something.
It crashes.
oh my, this stream is suddenly turned hostile.
You can tell we're not fans of
I mean,
Gates.
I just think I heard him wish death upon a man. I don't know that I can
No.
support that.
Not a man. He's a lizard. He's like a reptile.
Oh well, if it's lizards, yeah, they're lower on the food chain. They can go.
Exactly. Oh no, this is one I've been getting. It's North Coast organic vinegar. I don't know if you can see that, but I get it at Costco in these 3-packs. And I don't know, it's it's one of those weird things that my body has craved vinegar never before carnivore, but pretty much since about the 5th month of carnivore. And it has
Well,
never stopped.
you were probably getting a lot of it before carnivore because it's virtually in all sauces. It's in mayonnaise and mustard and hot sauces, and I don't know what you ate before in terms of condiments and things like that, but A1 sauce or I don't know, all that stuff is mostly vinegar.
Yeah.
Sandra, for sure. He is pure evil. And if there's anybody that deserved butt cancer, that's the guy. If there's a reason that butt cancer exists, it's for Bill Gates.
Oh my!
It's just the thing is that like these people like Gates and the WEF, the UN, and all the rest of they're parasites. Okay, they create nothing. They just leech off the rest of the population.
I like Windows. Windows is great.
I'm just saying, I hope that his vital organs have to run on it someday to keep his deteriorating, cancer-ridden self alive.
Seriously, honestly, and all jokes aside, which is a very difficult thing for me to do, I might add. All jokes aside, I really believe I choose to believe that most of the people that we see really think they're helping. This guy's, I say this all the time, and I think you've heard me say it before. We have our doctors. We've got Barry and Chafee and Hampton.
A great deal of them are just useful idiots.
And the people that we listen to. And if Dr. Barry came on here on his channel tomorrow and said, hey, I've been studying this. You need to stop eating thick cut bacon. It's harmful, blah, blah, blah. We would just stop eating it. We would listen. We'd be like, hey, well, I like thick cut bacon, but Dr. Barry says it's not good for us. These people think the same of their doctors as we think of ours. So when their doctor that they trust and that they know and that they look to for their medical advice says to them, meat is harmful or these things, they believe it. And because they have money and power, they're able to push their opinions on people more so than folks like us. But I just refuse to call me pie in the sky Pollyanna. I refuse to think that every person out there who's saying this is some. He might be the worst thing ever. I don't know the guy,
Yeah.
but
I'm going to go ahead and crap on that entire
I know
thing
my-
there.
I'm going to go ahead and call you Pollyanna,
Yeah.
mate.
I know
Yeah,
my
'cause-
father. is
Pollyanna.
I
Here's
know
the thing.
my father
Bill
isn't one of
Gates-
those people.
Bill Gates is not that guy. I think there's a lot of
Okay.
people out there, like you said, but Bill Gates specifically, he is a Stalininsky, the ends justify the means,
Right.
and
right.
he is an upper class, and whatever he has to do for the greater good is what he's talked himself into, and he thinks that they're an upper class, a more intelligent bunch that is going to go ahead and sacrifice us little people, us little bugs, and go ahead and they're going to do what they're going to. We need to be controlled because we're just a little too stupid and reckless. So he's going to go ahead and control us by owning all the farmland. I mean, tell me what reason he bought up that apple orchard and then sprayed that pesticide on there that you cannot get out, that'll never leave your
Heal.
body, and they know it. They know it. And that's why he ruined apple cider vinegar. And this is just one amongst a million other things that piece of shit's done.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's good people out there, but he is not one of them. There's useful idiots. There's people that think that they're doing good. He thinks that we're a lower class of human being that need geniuses like him in their little elite class, and that it is the ends justify the means, and if he just has to kill a few billion of us little peasants, it's for the greater good. That's
I don't think it's even about that. I don't think it's about the greater good either. Like, Gates is just he has no empathy for anyone else around him or the rest of the world. He has no empathy at all. He has no soul. He's a soulless, classless. He's just pure evil. And there's a lot of people around him that are the same. And the people that follow them are basically, like you said, they think they're doing the right thing because they've got all the information, because they've corrupted all the information. Okay. And these people are just useful idiots. There's a lot of them that are following them. It's, the same with the whole, vegan thing. There are virtue signalers, and there are people who think they're doing it for the environment and all that sort of bullshit. But there are those that are pushing it simply because they get paid to push it. People like Gregor and others. Okay, they are just the sons of bitches. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
And they are soulless.
When I look at somebody like Michael Greger, okay, and I guess again, listen, maybe it's just me. I see the good in people a lot of times, but he talks about his mother and how he put his mother on a vegetarian diet and saved her life. He talks about it all the time. So it's hard for me to believe that guy who's got some type of evil, motive would, do that with his mother. I mean, I just think the guy's wrong, and he's preaching a message that he believes in, just like we do, and we just got to outdata him. We can beat him.
You got to think about what he actually says and what he actually does. I mean, did he actually show you his mother and show you the results, show you the data? Like, he just talks about it. He also talks about these books that he made, like How Not to Die, How Not to Age, and look at him.
Right? Yeah. When I looked at that dude, when he, because you saw the other day, he said peanut M&Ms are healthier than meat, and then you look at that soft freaking pile of turds waddling around. I mean, he's fat, he's weak, he's pasty, he's sickly looking, and he's going to be the arbiter of like health and making declarations. And we all know what all the sugar does. Like, I cannot even believe that we still pretend like sugar is not the biggest. I don't know that there's anything on this planet that's killed more people than sugar. I really don't.
Well, he's against that too. I mean, he's a just your typical. I grew up with them. I mean, I grew up in the Seventh-day Adventist church, so I mean, I know hundreds of them. Most of my, believe it or not, much of my family is vegetarian, so I hear it all the time. But again, it's they're not telling you anything that most standard American doctors aren't telling you. So I can't.
Yeah, that's right.
But most standard American doctors are in that realm of good intentions, and they believe that they're doing good. But it's the people that are pushing the agenda that know that's behind
Yeah,
it. That's
yeah.
what I'm talking
Right.
about. And that's
Right.
what Bill
I think
Gates wants.
I tell you the people that I think are the worst are the people the doctors and the scientists that work for these big food manufacturers.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Who,
Yeah.
any doctor or scientist that's working for Kellogg's or Hostess and they're putting this stuff out and they're lobbying and they're calling this stuff heart healthy and all this and that. Those to me are they're the worst of the worst because they know better. They're doing the science. They have the data. They are
Well,
literally
they're all complicit. They are all
to how-
complicit.
yeah, that's a whole different the guy who reads that study and tells his patients about it is not the same level of bad as the guy who made the study and hid the data and all that. I mean, I don't,
I've got a question for Lindy. I think they're trying to slowly gear us out of politics.
Yeah.
So they're asking next. They're going to start asking.
Before we go on to that, I just want to add to like people like Grieger and Barnard, for example, they are just pure liars. Okay, they are just the same as the rest of them. So
absolutely.
Do you wish death of colon cancer upon them or not? I was unclear about that part.
No, I'm not. I don't wish anything. What I wish on these people is, for people to wake up to their bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what I wish on them, because then everyone, the angry people will take care of them.
Yeah.
Also, let me dream, Russ. Let me dream.
Go do some research on what Bill Gates did in Sudan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or
And
India.
you'll find out what Bill Gates is all about,
and why
and all the
he-
people
yeah.
that suffered with that.
Yeah.
And
More
that-
aware of
a lot of that information has been removed off the internet. You can't find it no more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
why is
actually,
that
you should-
happening?
There's an Indian doctor who's been speaking out about Bill Gates for a number of years now, since this fake scamdemic started. Go check out what they have to say about Bill Gates, okay, and what he's done to billions of children, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Never heard about that.
Yeah, he's that.
It's because they hide the information that people
Right.
need to hear.
Yeah,
That's the problem with the internet nowadays. Everything's hidden.
Censorship.
And the same thing's going to happen with carnivore in a few years. Watch it. You're going to start seeing warning messages underneath.
Exactly.
Lindy, question for you.
Okay, we'll do the question.
What's your feelings on the mini trampoline? Any results with vibration plate? I absolutely love my little rebounder. It's right here behind me on the floor there. And definitely lots of results. It's helping with move my lymphatic fluid around the body. So my feet are no longer swollen. Carnivore's improved it so much. Fasting really helped, but the rebounder does an even better job than all of that put together. So I definitely carnivore plus the rebounder has escalated my carnivore for sure. And I'm kind of in a routine now. When I get up, like I'm itching to get on there and have a little bounce. I get up and have a drink. I bounce on it 5 minutes and then come and sit down. So that's my routine. Every time I stand up, I have to bounce before I can sit down and work again. I do have the vibration plate still. It actually broke for good last night. The piece of plastic fell into the mechanics, so it makes a terrible noise. But that does help when I'm working at my desk because I spend a lot of time on my computer with work. So between the two, I love them both. It really helps with my lymphedema symptoms. And I will be getting a new vibration plate as well because I need it. But DC, I think he wants your feedback as well.
Yeah, I think they're both great. If depending on where you are at, for example, if you are like the trampolines are fantastic if you're strong enough, okay, in the joints and not don't have too much weight on to carry. If, for example, if you are where Lindy was when she started, and she just immediately tried to go on the mini trampoline. Apart from the fact that it wouldn't bounce, it would be a lot of weight every time you come down. That extra weight is putting like 3, 4, 5 times more pressure on your joints. Okay. So I don't recommend any kind of plyometric work to a sedentary person. It doesn't matter what their weight is, until they have strength enough in their joints and muscles. So depending on how heavy you are, or how light you are, or how sedentary you are, but you can also start these things very lightly as well. You can do like just a mini bounce, just bounce sort of thing, and then build it up. And the vibration plates are great too. If you are stuck like in a chair all day, or you're in bed or something, just not moving very much, that's good. But even better would be to get up and walk. Okay, to move around. If you can walk, that is going to be a much better exercise for you. Okay, so they are good. I mean, they are great actually, but there are alternatives, and especially depends on where you are at. I try not to put too much weight on the joints to start with, because it can do a lot of damage. Okay.
I just do a healing bounce, so my feet don't actually leave the mat. It's a very gentle bounce, which is enough to pump the fluid around my body, and just I think it puts oxygen into your muscles. And Dr. Berg has a video, I think it's 3 years old. You just type Dr. Berg rebounder. He talks about NASA doing studies on it, and he puts all the astronauts on it because they have loss of bone density and muscle loss.
And muscle density when they're up in space. Yeah, because when they've been up in space, because they don't have gravity, sometimes if they've been up there long enough, they actually have to be carried out of the the ship, because they have lost so much bone density and muscle density that they can't even walk. So that's the same thing. Like if you have, and you get the same thing, like if you've been stuck in bed for a number of years, for example, you've got the same problem. Your bone density and muscle density is going to be very low. So it's something you need to build up. And I think I always, like, for example, if you get like, there's a reason why when you go to a gym, they start you on machines, because rather than free weights. And I think it's a great way to start, because when people tell you to use body weight exercises, a lot of people can't even lift their body weight. So that's just crazy, right?
Yeah.
Start very light on machines that are controlled, so that you don't put too much stress on your joints. Okay. So I think that, like, when you start any kind of exercise routine, the first thing you should be worried about is structural stability, so joint strengthening, before you do anything else. And when it comes to, when you're doing the bouncing, for example, you start to breathe heavier. That's why you get more oxygen into the body. Okay, whenever you start doing any kind of exercise, you start breathing heavier. Like I do breathing exercises in the mornings, and I do sprints on the bike, or I'll go outside and do some sprints. But that heavy breathing, that's what's oxygenating your blood more. Okay, it's not actual the movement. It's just that you're breathing more, and because you are contracting, okay, the muscles, you're pushing that lymphatic fluid around your body. You're going to move all your vitamins, minerals, ketones, and fat, because fat is carried through your lymphatic system in the lymph fluid. So that's how you move fat. Okay.
Lynn from Midlife Carnivore was on our keto cookout last week, and she was talking about it, and she's like, "Oh, I got a rebounder at the house," and I thought she was talking about Dennis Rodman or Charles Barkley or somebody. I'm like, "You got Charles Barkley at the house?"
So I just got this at DC. I've been indoors 10 years. I have a treadmill. I'm loose, skinny, fat. Yeah. Treadmill is good. Walking is good. One way to help strengthen your joints is to walk on a high incline. Okay. That incline will help strengthen your knees and ankles and things like that. Another good thing to do for your joints is balance. Okay, any sort of balance exercises, like for example, if you just hold on to the wall and just stand on one foot, okay, this will help strengthen your hips, your back, and it's actually a pretty good core exercise as well, and just get stabilizing exercises for your joints. Then eventually you can move up to like an unbalanced floor. So like, you ever seen those like airfield sort of rubber disc? Okay, you can stand on. Okay, these are unbalanced. Okay, this will help build up balance in your joints. Okay, and then from there you can start doing exercises like doing squats on the balance balance disc. Okay. Yeah, I would focus on the joints, and then everything else will follow. Strengthen the joints, strengthen the muscles, and then you can do other exercises like squatting, push-ups, and everything else like that. That all comes later. It can be frustrating. I know it's a very slow process, but you'll be surprised eventually you start making very big jumps, and it gets a lot quicker.
Absolutely. No, and I'm kind of doing that now. I'm doing resistance bands and small free weights and kind of building up the joints. And I notice it's crazy because it makes you, I can tell with balance that my joints are getting better because I end up more just stupid things like I can take bigger steps to the side and still feel in control on balance, where before I would have felt like I was going to lose my
Bands
footing.
are fantastic. I still use bands every day, like to warm up any kind of joint, all my joints before I start hitting the gym. But also, for strengthening your joints, bands can be really, really useful because they're so flexible. You can use them on anything, in any direction as well. So it's a really good way to do it.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you guys. We have been here for 4 hours and 20 minutes. So we better call it a night before people get sick of looking at us.
Who could possibly get sick of looking at me?
You can take a vote if you want to know the real answer.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, might get Michael to spin that wheel again.
I think Dr. Nelson had a question for me. Yes, the bacon I use has 0 carbohydrates. So I'm guessing it's sugar free. I think all bacon is cured somewhat, isn't it? Sugar,
Yeah.
I know what you mean because they do have some maple flavors and different things that are. I don't buy any of that. It's all 0 carb, and it must. When I was talking about getting off of bacon, I think he asked that question.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. We thank
I
you.
I appreciate you lowering your standards, folks, and having me on here. I really do. Lowering the bar for me to come on there. I'm grateful and thankful.
Go subscribe to Homesick Buckeye, please. DC Learning to Live and Carnivore Scott. Those guys are all awesome. And also I saw Brett, who's your carnivore, here in the chat. You guys would go show everybody some love. I'd appreciate it. And we will be back next time in a week. And hopefully you guys aren't tired of us by then. So we appreciate it.
And same time as today.
Same time as today. We're leaving it here. We're not moving around anymore. This is it. We're staying right here.
This is our time slot.
This is our time slot. We are. We done peed on this time slot. We marked our territory. This is it.
Oh my! Oh.
Well, we love you guys. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time.
See everyone.
Bye.